Hey guys, Channel OP here. I'm Nico.
And I'm King.
And we're the Opinionated Pirates. So today on this One Hit Manga segment, we're going to be checking out a book that we read way back in high school, and we kind of wanted to just go back over it and see if it held up to what at least we thought of it back then. So, take it away.
So the book that we're reading, or the book that we read, was Ral Grad. It's pretty much a darker version of Blue Dragon, if you know what that is, where there's the main character, he has a dragon shadow, and this whole world is just built on how people have shadows with them, and the shadows are just monsters and they fight that way. In this, you follow Ral, his shadow dragon named Grad. Ral's pretty much a new to the world kid who's obsessed with boobies and women.
Yes.
Like, as soon as he comes out, just like that's his goal. He's trying to stop the main queen, Lady Burra, to basically stop converting the shadows or having the shadows come into the world of light and then basically destroying that world. And along the way, he's followed by Lady Miu, which is his tutor when he was stuck in his little egg form or for most of his life. And then another shadow person named Aya and her shadow Kyurikyu. But other than that, like, what do you think?
You know, to be honest, I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same.
The pacing, again, because we already, we read it way back in the day. It only has 4 volumes, so the pacing can be pretty quick in it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they end off on their journey, they go from like 0 to 60 real fast.
Yeah, so it picks up, as he said, Ral was in prison as like a baby because he had the blue dragon in it. So now that the shadows were attacking the castle, they're like, or Mia was like, hey, we need to release this baby. And they're like, or he's not a baby now. Yeah. But like, okay, he comes out. Apparently the blue dragon is this really high-ranking shadow because all the shadows like quiver.
Oh yeah, as soon as they see him, they're like, oh, the legendary blue dragon. And then go from there.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, because I don't remember like any of the story, what his prominence was.
Like the dragon itself, or him in the story? Like,
I guess the dragon himself, like what he was before, because they even mentioned in the book like, oh, it's the blue dragon, so it's like, oh, so because he has a color, he must be a lot more important.
Like, I think it was just more back in during the older time. From what I got out of the volume, it seemed like back in the older time he was like the big threat. And then he died down. They sealed him away, and then that's how he ended up being with Ral.
Okay, yeah, now it's kind of coming back to me. Aside from like the pacing's really quick, but I still really enjoyed it. I like the character designs. As always, the shadow designs are really cool. It is done by the same artist that did Death Note, so it's beautiful to look at. And one of the shadows I liked the most was some guy introduced later on and later half the book, Kafka, Kefka with like this flower like shadow. That was pretty interesting, and they all seem to have like their own like strengths and weaknesses. They even go into some different types of shadows: parasite, transforming one, third one, and then Ral's like a special grade because he can transform and summon them. And
and the way they had it was like the level 1, the level 2, the level 3, and then Ral's level 4.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of elements that I don't remember, but it was still nice. I still really enjoy the character interactions. They seem pretty like one note.
Yeah, they each have their like what they're about, and that's pretty much their entire character. Val's with boobies, Aya's dumb. I don't know what to really say. She didn't get the tutoring from Miss Miu as much as Ral did.
She didn't get the smarts on that. But they do. Luckily, there are some small character moments.
Yeah.
Like, again, like, Ral's pretty obsessed with, the boobies, because he only knew himself, so when he came out, he was just, like, grabbing on boobs, like, oh, what are these? Like, oh, they're amazing. And he doesn't really decide to want to save the world from these shadows until Miu is just like, hey, while you were having your bath time fun stuff, 7 men and 2 women were killed, and he falls to the ground, and he's like, oh, it's like, 2 women were killed? How dare they? And then he decides that he needs to save all of the women.
Yeah.
So, and he comes off very one note, but then later on there is a moment with a princess they go to meet where he's actually dueling Kefka for the right to touch the boobies. And right in the middle of the fight, he's like, hey, how about if I lose, can I get that dog over there? She's like, okay, sure, whatever, just fight. and he just loses.
Yeah.
And she gets up mad. She's like, "Oh, was my bosom not enough for you?" And he's like, "Well, there's one thing I was taught that, yeah, women are great, but just because they're beautiful on the outside doesn't mean they are on the inside." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool." So despite it seeing pretty quickly, they're kind of like sneaking in.
No, yeah, and it's interesting to see how he grew from. I mean, just in a few pages, from going to like, oh well, you clearly have a thing for her. You should be the one, to being like a few pages before it's like tit for tat.
Exactly, and tit for tat is exactly what his motto seems to be in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But what were I already said some of the things I liked. What was it, or what stood out for you? I guess this second time going around.
I mean, going out again, the things that stood out most were like a lot of the character designs. The shadows looked cool, and like he was saying before, it's from the same artist who did Death Note. And if you've seen anything in the a lot of the character work there, and even the Shinigami designs,
oh yeah,
they were really, really detailed, and it really put all that detail in here, or into like all the shadows. So it was really interesting to see that. Some things that did stand out more on a negative end for me though is how one note a lot of the characters were. Back in the day, I didn't really notice, and I was like, cool, but now I'm like, this seems kind of odd. Like, how obsessed this character is with boobies. I mean, I understand, but it's not something I can follow the character on for so long, After a while, you're like, I need to grow up. I need you to grow up a little bit here.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I played the game on the 360, so, like, coming in, this is definitely a different take on, Blue Dragon. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it can be very off-putting for it. But aside from that, like, the story, it's pretty simple. Like I said, he comes out because they're getting attacked by shadows. He needs to go save the world from this Lady Bria, or Aphrodite, whatever that name is. It's ridiculous. That's where Blue Dragon kind of gives him the rundown. Like, yeah, there's a light. There's a light and dark world. The shadows live in the shadow. Humans live in the light. And since this Lady Bria is kind of taken over the dark world, she's like pushing her desires or what she wants onto these other shadows, and by doing so, it's making them want to come to the world of light. Mm-hmm. Well, shadows can't die. The only caveat to that is if they get a host and go into them. So if the host dies, then they die. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these shadows are starting to go away, and the Blue Dragon, along with these other allies he seems to be grabbing, don't like that, and they want to get rid of her so that way they can go back to living in the light and dark world and everything go back to peace. Mm-hmm. So nothing too crazy for the story, but definitely a good read still.
There was one thing I wanted to ask, if this is more like built in the manga, or if this was like in Blue Dragon. But in this one, if the shadows eat any other shadows, they gain abilities, or they basically take body parts. So half the time they're just like, eat me so that way my body lives on. Mm-hmm. Is that any part of the old school Blue Dragon?
From what I remember, no. But I mean, I haven't played that since it was released on the 360, and I don't even remember when that was released.
Okay.
So yeah, and I didn't even finish the game. So, yeah, so it's just but yeah, it was definitely a different take on this one. But still one I would definitely recommend checking out.
Oh yeah, definitely check it out. It's a lot older, but it's a short 4-volume series, and you can get into it real fast.
Yeah, if you don't want to get too invested, then you can jump out real quick. But then enough, it gets it quickly, dives in real quick. So you're like, sweet, this is good, and I don't have to spend too much time in waiting for the series to continue or go on. So yeah, definitely check it out. Thanks for joining us on our discussion. This blast from the past, at least for us. If you like the video, then we appreciate leaving a like down below in the comments. It really helps us out. If you want to stay up to our videos, then hit that subscribe button. And then if you want to know exactly when our videos come out, then hit that red bell at the top. If you like the series, you already read it, then let us know in the comments. Because I know we really haven't talked to a lot of people that have read this series.
Oh yeah, and it'd be a good nostalgia trip just to kind of like talk to other people who either enjoyed or didn't enjoy it.
Oh yeah, because it's, like I said, it was very niche for us.
Yeah.
So if you liked it, let us know. If you didn't, then I mean, let us know too. Like, then we can actually have a discussion about it. So with that, I'm Nico.
And I'm King.
And we're the Pioneer Pirates, sailing off.